Hi team, I hope you're all well. Today I am going to be telling you about some of my favourite contemporary books. So with whatever-a-thon coming up and me being one of the captains for Camp Contemporary, I thought I would tell you about some of my favourite contemporaries. Quite a few of these are romance, some of them are not. You will get a mix of both normal prose and also poetry. So I'm really excited to tell you about some of these. Some of these you'll probably predict anyway, but some of them maybe not. So I am hyped. Let me tell you about my stack. So in no particular order, because I couldn't possibly put these in a specific order, we're just going to go through them. They're in like a colour order for the thumbnail, so we're just going to go through them in that order. So the first one I have for you is Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is one of the books that is told as a poetry collection, so it is told like this, and the audiobook for this is fantastic. I do highly recommend, and this is illustrated throughout the book quite heavily as well, and yeah, I really loved this one. So this basically follows Michael through his life from being a child right up until being in his early 20s and being at university, and we are basically getting a slice of life from Michael, but kind of going through his life of growing up as black and queer in the community that he's in, but also with the family that he has as well, which his mother is great, but some other parts of his family not so much. So this is very eye-opening, a beautiful story as well. It's basically following Michael to the point until he finds basically this club that has drag queens in it, and he like feels like he's home basically, and it's just fantastic. I had a really great time with this. The audiobook is really fantastic, and I do highly recommend following along with the book if you're going to listen to the audio, but I just recommend the audio in general. It's great, so I do highly recommend this one. It's very good indeed. Then we have both The Bride Test and The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is the first in this series, this one being the second, however I read them this way around. It doesn't particularly matter, it's just that one of the side characters in this book is one of the main characters in this book essentially. So this is following Stella Lane, who is a very successful, complete overachiever, very independent, but she has Asperger's, and her mum wants her to settle down and find a husband. However, this is not an easy task for her. She's very used to her routine. She doesn't want someone coming in and messing this up. But also because of her Asperger's, she's not very good with people. She's not a great people person, and she doesn't really know her way around the bedroom. Things like that. So she hires an escort called Michael, who is very good looking and very good at his job, and basically we follow these two going through this relationship. I really enjoyed this. I thought, obviously not own voices, but I thought that the representation in here was fantastic. Please do go check some own voices reviews out, because I could be way off the mark with that, but personally I thought it was really well done, and I just really enjoyed the interaction between Stella and Michael. I just thought it was great. It's fantastic. Really loved it. And then going into The Bride Test, we are following Kai, who is the side character from The Kiss Quotient, and we are also following Esme as well. So Kai has autism and he struggles with feelings. He doesn't grieve, he doesn't have deep feelings, he's never been in love, etc, and he thinks essentially that he's defective. And which he isn't. His family know better, that his autism means he just processes emotions differently. However, when he steadfastly refuses to consider a relationship, his mother takes matters into her own hands and returns to Vietnam to find him a perfect bride. Esme works in a hotel as a cleaner, I think, and when she comes across the opportunity to go back to America and marry a man who's got a very good job and is a very good man indeed, she could really do with the money and stuff, so she takes the opportunity to go back to America and move in with Kai, who is completely unsuspecting in this entire process. However, she does struggle to seduce him, and this becomes quite a long-term process that she's trying to make happen, to a point not just because she wants to make this happen because that's the deal that she's made with Kai's mum, but because it gets to a point that she actually wants it to happen. So I really enjoy this one. I'm really excited to give these actually a reread at some point. I'm really hyped, and I know that the Heart Principle, which is the third one, is coming out very soon. I'm not sure what character we're following this one. I haven't read the blurb at all. I like to go into these blind, to be perfectly honest. So I really enjoy both of these, but again, as mentioned, no Own Voices reviews, so please do go and check those out if you feel the need to do so, because I could be way off the mark with the representation in these books, but overall I really enjoyed them and I thought they were very good. Then we have The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. To be perfectly honest, I highly recommend anything by Elizabeth Acevedo, whether that be with The Fire on High, The Poet X, or Clap When You Land, which is the third one that I've read by her. I really enjoy this one. Following Zayamara, who's always kept her words to herself. In her Harlem neighbourhood, her fists and her fierceness do the talking. But Z has secrets, her feelings for a boy in her bio class, the notebook full of poems that she keeps under her bed, and slam poetry club that will pull those secrets into the spotlight. Because in spite of a world that might not want to hear her, Z refused to stay silent. A novel about first love and finding your own voice. I really enjoyed this one. Again, this is a poetry collection, so it is quite a quick book to get through, but with some powerful subjects going on as well. I do highly recommend this one and I really enjoyed it. I do want to reread this one at some point as well, but I'd like to listen to the audiobook this time round because I feel like that would be a really good way of doing it. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Then we have This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. I know that Sophie's latest book is coming out quite soon actually. If there's a cover, I will show a picture of it. I've just got an email this morning actually from NetGalley, ironically enough, letting me know that I can get the next one if I want it. So this is following Quinn and Minnie, who are born on New Year's Eve at the same hospital 1 minute apart. They don't know this about each other until later on in life. Their lives may begin together, but their worlds couldn't be more different. 30 years later, they find themselves together again in the same place at the same time. What if fate is trying to bring them back together again? So basically, Quinn and Minnie meet at a party. It's Quinn's 30th. And Minnie gets invited by her other half, and over the course of the next few years you see them bumping into each other again and again and again, basically following them on this journey. And I really enjoyed this book. We follow them going through different relationships at different times and things like that, and you wonder if they ever may or may not get together. You're just not sure what's going to happen, but I really enjoyed this. I love the writing style, I love the story, I love the characters. Quinn and Minnie were fantastic. Just really enjoy it and do highly recommend it. So yeah, very good indeed. Perfect for around, actually this is really perfect for around like winter, Christmas, New Year time. Really perfect for that. You can see from the cover, to be perfectly honest, because they were born together on New Year's Eve, so it's perfect for that time of year, but generally you can read this any time of the year. But yeah, perfect. Then obviously this wouldn't be a favourite contemporary books video if I didn't include this series, which is the Brown Sister series by Talia Hibbert. The first one being Get a Life Chloe Brown, the second one being Take a Hint Danny Brown, and the third one being Act Your Age Eve Brown. We follow the three sisters, the Brown sisters. This first one is following Chloe, who is chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan and a list. After almost but not quite dying, she comes up with a list of directives to help her get a life. With the help of Red, who is her apartment manager essentially, and she absolutely loathes, she cannot stand him, he helps her try and complete this list, and slowly but surely, you know, a relationship ensues. So enemies to lovers in this one, highly recommend. Again, check out Own Voices reviews for this one with the chronically ill. I mean, I am chronically ill, but not in a way that Chloe's chronically ill, so do check out Own Voices reviews for this one. But yeah, highly recommend this one. Absolutely loved it. My favourite in the series is Take a Hint Danny Brown. In this one we're following Danny Brown, who is bisexual. She is a professor at a university or college, I can't remember, university it must be, I think, and one day she gets stuck in a lift at college/uni, and the the security guard at the college/uni, wherever it is that she works, Zaf, ends up rescuing her, and they end up getting packed together as being like a really cute couple, and then they end up fake dating to keep this ruse going. I can't remember the reason why. I just completely fell in love with both Danny and Zaf, and just completely lost all meaning to this story, other than the fact that I just wanted more of them in general. So yes, very, very here for this one. Absolutely love this story. This is my favourite out of the 3, so highly recommend it. And then in Act Your Age Eve Brown, we have more autism rep. So this one is fantastic. Eve is a certified hot mess. No matter how hard she strives to do right, her life always goes horribly wrong, and so she's given up trying. But when her parents cut her money off, they tell her that she has to spend the year working and living on her own, making her own money, and then they will allow her to have her fund back, her trust fund back. She goes off in a huff, and she ends up coming across a pub that is advertising for staff, in which she meets Jacob Wayne, and he is the uptight B&B owner, and she ends up running him over with his car by accident, and then ends up getting the job in the end. And it is basically, again, enemies to lovers. I really enjoyed this one. Again, do check out Own Voices rep for the autism rep in here, but again, I thought it was really well done. I highly recommend this series, this whole series. But again, please do check out Own Voices reviews for all of these separately, because they all have separate different representation in them. But yes, overall, love this series so much. 5-star series just in general. I will read just about anything from Talia Hibbert at this point. She could give me the phone book and I would read it. So yes, I've got pins and needles in my foot. Next, I am going to recommend you I Heart New York by Lindsay Kelk. This is an entire series. This is book 1 in a 7-book series, and I love this series with my whole heart. Lol. I picked this up on a whim many years ago. We were probably talking like, I don't know. I mean, when did this come out? That might help. 2009? So we're probably talking maybe 10 years ago. I picked this up on a whim, and I picked it up on the basis that it says I Heart New York, and that's literally how I feel about New York City as a whole. Like, if you didn't know, New York City is my favourite place in the entire world. I've not been to everywhere in the entire world, but it's my favourite place that I've ever been to in the entire world, closely followed by Edinburgh. But basically, this is following Angela, who's fleeing her cheating boyfriend and clutching a little more than a crumpled bridesmaid's dress, a pair of Louboutins and her passport. She jumps on a plane destined to New York City. Holed up in a cute hotel room, Angela gets a New York City makeover from her new BFF, Jenny, and a whirlwind tour of the city that never sleeps. Before she knows it, Angela's dating 2 sexy guys, and best of all, she gets to write about it in her new blog. Carrie Bradshaw, eat your heart out. But it's one thing telling readers about your romantic dilemmas, it's another figuring them out for yourself. Angela's fallen head over heels for the Big Apple, but does she heart New York more than her home? We go through the series of like, I heart Hollywood, I heart Paris, I heart London, I heart... where else do we go? Vegas, I Heart Christmas, I Heart Forever, and then finally I Heart Hawaii. And I just freaking love this series. This isn't just a romance series. Like, it's not just about Angela finding love again. It's about Angela falling in love with herself again. It's about Angela's friendships and falling in love with her friends, like with Jenny and her old friends from home and her new friends from New York. And then it's about Angela just in general falling in love with her life and also falling in love with New York City. Honestly, this book gives me goosepimples. I'm just talking about it. I am obsessed with this series, and you will know that for whatever-a-thon, this is on my of the 3 books that are my favorites, this is one of them. This series is another. So yeah, you're on the money with this one. I am obsessed with this series. Do highly recommend it. The books aren't that long either. They do get a little bit longer, but they're not that long, and I highly recommend it. I just love it so much. I cannot wait to reread the series, to be honest. I think I've read this one 5 times, so can't wait to reread the entire series at some point, hopefully. Next, we have Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali. I read this one a couple years ago now and really friggin' loved it. It's such a beautiful story. So we're following 2 different characters in this. We're following Zainab, who basically gets suspended from school one day when she loses her rag with one of her teachers, who cannot stop going on about how bad Muslims are. Loses a rag one day in class, gets suspended, and ends up starting an early spring break by going to Qatar with her, well, staying in Qatar with her aunt. And she is just trying to get by in life and lose the anger that she's had pent up this whole time with having to put up with that teacher's shit, essentially. And then we're following Adam, who's been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and he has stopped going to class and is intent on just making things and trying to make the world a better place for his little sister since his mum died. He hasn't told his dad about his diagnosis, but together Zainab and Adam kind of find solace in each other and their friendship, and it's just such a beautiful story. I really enjoyed this one. They meet on a plane. It's just beautiful. I loved it so much. It was so cute. I actually cannot wait to reread this. I might try and reread this for whatever-thon. I just love it. I highly recommend this book. I don't think it gets talked about enough, but I highly recommend it. It's just fantastic. Highly recommend it. And we have My Favourite Half Night Stand by Christina Lauren. To be quite honest with you, I've enjoyed pretty much everything I've read from Christina Lauren so far, so take your friggin' pick, because there's so many. Millie Morris has always been one of the guys. This sounds literally like me. A professor at, well, not that much, but a professor at a respected university. She's great, a witty backchat, but terrible at getting personal. Like her 4 best male friends, she's perma single. So when a university function turns into a black tie gala, they all make a pact to join an online dating service and find +1s. There's just one hitch. After making the pact, Millie and one of their group, Reed Campbell, secretly spend the sexiest half night of their lives together before deciding the friendship is better off strictly platonic. But online dating isn't for the faint of heart. While the guys are inundated with dream dates, Millie's profile attracts nothing but creeps. So she's invented an alter ego in whose make-believe shoes she can be more vulnerable than she's ever been in person. But when Reed and her alter ego hit it off, Millie finds herself struggling to resist temptation, both online and off. Soon, Millie will have to face her worst fear, intimacy, or risk losing her best friend forever. I just really enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Millie and the guys, and I just thought it was really, really good, because I saw myself represented a lot in Millie, because I have a lot of guy friends and I hang out with the guys all the time. So I'm always like the chick that's hanging out with the guys, and I know like how they talk about women and things like that. I mean, the guys I hang out with are way more crass than the guys in here, but just in general. Also, I've done online dating. I fucking hate online dating because it is full of creeps. Not completely full of creeps. I know there are some good guys out there, but somehow my profile just doesn't seem to be attracting them. But yes, constantly getting messages from creeps. It's just a minefield. Honestly, dating at my age is a friggin' minefield. Millie is like around my age, early 30s. And I just really enjoyed this story. I loved Millie and Reed. I loved their relationship. The whole fake profile thing did make me a little bit uncomfortable. I didn't really like that she knew that it was Reed, but Reed had no idea that it was her. That made me uncomfortable. I didn't particularly like that bit, but overall I just really enjoyed this book. Another one I would highly recommend from Christina Lauren is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Fake Dating. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating is the other one that I really, really like. So yeah, I would recommend both of these. Also The Unhoneymooners was great as well. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Then we have Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow by Siobhan Curran. This is one that I read a couple of years ago now, actually. Siobhan sent me this one directly and I really, really enjoyed this one. We're following 2 kids that are basically around the ages of 13 or 14. I think maybe a little bit older. I can't remember how old they are. But this is like a reasonably young YA. And we're following Stevie, who's passionate about music. It's what keeps her going when things are particularly difficult at home. And then we're following Hafiz, who loves football, but he's hardly played since he set out on the long journey from Syria. Together, the 2 forge a unique friendship that will help save them both. So basically, Stevie's dad died many years ago, well, a couple of years ago, and he was a music producer, I think, and through him she has this like huge love for music, which I really related to because I have a massive love for music and I've gotten that from my dad. So huge love for music, but her mum is severely depressed. She's really struggling with her grief. She can't get out of bed. Stevie essentially has to look after herself. They're on almost no money because obviously Stevie's mum isn't working, Stevie's at school, things like that. So she's struggling massively, but she's trying not to let it bring her down. Hafiz has had to leave Syria, leave his family in Syria and come and move to the UK to be with his uncle and aunt because there is a war going on in Syria, with the promise that his parents and grandmother will follow several weeks later. So he's made this really long journey from Syria to the UK, and now he is at school with Stevie. Stevie's the only friend he makes once he starts school, and they build this really cute friendship. It's really, really adorable, and many things happen in that Stevie's mum gets involved, Hafiz's uncle and aunt get involved, and it's just a really, really great story about friendship, covering things like depression, anxiety, also, you know, having to leave your home country because of a war, and having to deal with that, and then just generally community as well. And I really, really enjoyed this, and I just don't think I see enough people talking about this book at all. So I do highly recommend this one if that's the kind of thing that you are into. It's such a beautiful story, so yeah, highly recommend this one. And then the final book is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. If you don't know what this is about at this point, I just don't know where you've been, to be perfectly honest. But this is such a really good story, and I highly recommend the audiobook if you're going to listen to this, if you're going to read this one, because it's so good. This is following Evelyn Hugo, who is a reclusive Hollywood icon. She's finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life, but when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. There's a reason why Evelyn has chosen Monique, and as you go through finding out about Evelyn Hugo's life story, you find out why Monique has been chosen. This is just so beautiful. I lost myself so much in this story that several times I picked my phone up to Google Evelyn Hugo. She's not a real person. This is obviously fiction, it's made up, but it was done so friggin' well that I was 100% convinced that Evelyn Hugo was a real person. Same thing with Daisy Jones and the Six. I googled Daisy Jones and the Six several times because I was convinced that they must be a real band. They're not. So yeah, highly recommend this one. Such a beautiful story. It is queer, so also know that going in, but I really love this story. It's absolutely fantastic, so highly recommend this one. So those are some of my favorite contemporary books for you, some recommendations for you if you are looking for some contemporary to join Camp Contemporary. Please do so. Me and India would love to have you. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these, or if you've got any recommendations for me based off of these, because I love that too. And I shall see you next time. Bye for now.